Welcome to Channel 1880 News. Today we are doing something very special. We are coming to the end of a very productive decade. In honor of these 10 progressive years, we are going to do a Decade and Review special to highlight the key events that happened throughout this time. I'd like to hand it over to Zoe Verrico, who will discuss the progress we have made in industrialization during the 1880s.
Thank you, Bridget. As industrialization progressed, so did competition between companies. As a result of this, companies began to grow and monopolies began to develop. Company leaders discovered that through both vertical and horizontal integration, they could control their market. Through buying out their competitors and strategic thinking, monopolies overwhelmed the economy. One of the most successful monopoly leaders that controlled this market during this decade was John D. Rockefeller. Starting a working career at the age of 16, he worked his way up the ranks of business, and by the age 31, he founded the Standard Oil Company. By the 1880s, he dominated the oil sector by buying out his competitors. His company's net worth rose to a staggering $55 million, and by the end of this decade, it is predicted that he himself will be worth over $1 billion. John D. Rockefeller's huge expansion of his business led Congress to put down their fists and regulate monopolies. As Congress began to regulate the growth of monopolies, factory workers began to bring attention to their plights in their field. I will now pass it on to Kaavya to talk about the breaking news about the Knights of Labor.
Thank you, Zoe. Today we're on the side of a protest for Knights of Labor, and I have with me a member of the KOL. Could you please introduce yourself?
I'm Mildred Scott, and I joined the Knights of Labor to help support equal pay for equal work.
As many of you have heard, the Knights of Labor held a high status among industry workers in the early part of this decade. Now tell me, when did you join Knights of Labor?
I joined the Knights of Labor in 1882 when this group was at their peak.
Now, many of you may not have known that the Knights of Labor was founded in 1869, but their popularity rose in the 1880s. Their beliefs in regulated work hours, equal pay for equal work, removal of child labor, and safer working conditions attracted many industry workers. Now, what attracted you?
Well, part of the reason that I joined this group was to make sure that my friends, my family members, all of them were getting a sufficient amount of pay for all the hard work that they've been putting into their jobs at the factories.
The KOL welcomed all people but saloon keepers, lawyers, and gamblers. But the unique part about the KOL is that they allowed people like African Americans and women to join. What was it like being a woman, having the opportunity to join something like the KOL?
Honestly, it was a great chance. Like, everyone needs to support what they believe in. And in our case, we believe in the fact that everyone should get equal pay for equal work for all the work they've been putting in. So the fact that I get to come out and support what I think has been a great opportunity.
At one point in time, the membership of the KOL rose to over 700,000 people, but the infamous Haymarket strike led to its downfall. The skeptical public soon turned into vocal opponents of this group. Some goals were met, but at the end, the KOL disbanded. Stay tuned for a look back on political controversies.
In 1885, a man by the name of George Eastman created Kodak, which is now a well-known brand of cameras and other technology. Before 1885, the camera was as big as a microwave and was extremely heavy, as our cameraman can tell us. The invention of the new, more efficient Kodak camera came about when, as Eastman told us in an interview, the idea gradually dawned on me. He later said that what we were doing was not merely making dry plates, but that we were starting out to make photography an everyday affair. Or as he described it more simply, to make the camera as convenient as the pencil. This camera now makes it easier to capture our favorite memories by using roll holders. But as we remember, those paper pictures were not of the greatest quality. Following this finding, Eastman created an easy fix when he, as the Kodak representatives tell us, coated the paper with a layer of plain, soluble gelatin, and then with a layer of insoluble, light-sensitive gelatin. Hey! Okay, Kodak camera over here.
Wait, guys. I seriously thought that the Kodak camera is really easy to use now.
Oh, and
really? Seriously.
Dude, I don't know. I'm not George Eastman.
Oh, gee, is this easy as a pen?
So, guys, hold up. Just use a Kodak camera every day.
Kodak
every
day, really?
Camera. Welcome back to Channel 1880 News. We left off with a review of Knights of Labor. Our nation was mostly led by Grover Cleveland throughout this decade. Cleveland is most well known for his democratic views and his position as Buffalo mayor in 1881. He is most notorious, though, for his scandal with Maria Halpin, who, during his election, came forward with a statement saying they had a baby together. Premarital associations such as this one is very frowned upon. Yet, Cleveland came forward explaining himself and confronting the scandal. He won the election as the 22nd president partially because he confronted his scandal, gaining support for being responsible and showing integrity. Afterwards, he ended up marrying his dead business partner's daughter. Is this okay? You decide. Throughout his presidency, he occupied his right to veto bills frequently, like withdrawing the annexation treaty for Hawaii. It is predicted in 1893, Cleveland will lose to Republican Benjamin Harrison because Harrison believes in the annexation of Hawaii and is very successful in foreign affairs.
Throughout the 1880s, America's population boomed. Millions of Europeans are immigrating to our country in search of a new life. These immigrants left their homeland torn apart by religious persecution, famine, and poverty for America, in search of freedom and economic stability. For hundreds of years, America welcomed immigrants with open arms. But as time progressed and the 1880s came rolling in, things started to change. Natives see them as threats, while industrials see them as cheap labor. Difference in opinion caused the American government to make reforms. Throughout the decade, restrictions have been passed in the Congress, ranging from the number of people that enter the United States to various screenings that were mandatory for new immigrants. The new immigrants are quite different compared to the old ones. These new immigrants come from Southern and Eastern Europe. They aren't Protestants, they don't speak English, and they aren't nearly as skilled. Nativists and immigrants aren't seeing eye to eye, and immigration and its controversies will continue to be a raging issue for America.
There's been much talk of political corruption this past decade, and as many of you are aware, the fuel to this fire ignited when President James Garfield was shot and killed because a man had not received the government job he'd been promised. As a result of this tragedy, and many others like it, President Chester Arthur passed the Pendleton Act. This act, or rather law, prohibits the giving away of government jobs without sufficient qualifications. The results of this act are quite visible now that government employees are actually qualified for their jobs. We are happy to say that the spoil system has finally been put to rest.
Industrialization of the 1880s spurred the shift of population from the rural countryside to the busy urban cities. American cities during the decade gained a new meaning. Job opportunities increased, attracting immigrants and people from rural areas. Also, new forms of mass transportation arose, and skyscrapers became part of every urban skyline. Throughout the 80s, the American lifestyle changed drastically. New jobs such as architects became popular because of the high demand of skyscrapers. Many more interesting and creative jobs emerged because of new opportunities created by urbanization. Urbanization is beneficial and is necessary for America to become the world superpower. But within a decade, some unforeseen issues have been brought on because of urbanization. Cities are growing so rapidly and their neighborhoods are getting crowded. Cheap housing within the cities called tenements are wonderful options for low-income families, but they aren't the most accommodating. Tenements are usually unsanitary, with overflowing toilets and cramped living spaces. Also, the close proximity of one tenement to another causes a great risk of fire. As cities develop and industrialization expands, rivers and waterways are beginning to get polluted. The once clear blue rivers of America are slowly turning murky, something we have never expected to ever happen.
But the rules of football changed from 15 players to 11 is no longer about the strength, but all about the speed.
Buy Dudley's football. It'll improve your performance today.
Buy Dudley's brand football and become the hot shot on your street. Buy 2, get 1 free.
Throughout these past few years, the nation has seen a major industrial boom. Factories have sprung up all across the nation, and factory owners are having no trouble finding workers. However, the fact that there are so many willing to work also means that factory owners can lower wages however they please in order to turn up a larger profit. Some have found that the best way to counteract these conditions is to form or join pre-existing labor unions. One such man was Samuel Gompers. Gompers was elected president of the American Federation of Labor in 1866. His goal was to bring together all the individual labor unions across the country and push them all towards the common goal of improving working conditions. His efforts have proved to be successful so far and prove that when people come together, anything can be accomplished.
As we all know, railroad companies have recently been put under scrutiny by the U.S. government due to the fact that these robber barons use monopolistic business tactics in order to maintain their own power and wealth. In order to maintain control of these economic giants, the government passed the Interstate Commerce Act. The act created a federal regulatory agency that monitored the business practices of these railroad companies, such as their shipping rates and price discrimination. This act was the first federal law to regulate private industries in the United States. It's about time these unjust companies' practices were brought to light by the ICA Act.
Heard during this time. I'd like to hand it over to Zoe. No. Just take that away and move her closer to the sign.
The sun?
The sign? The sign. I said the sign, not the sign.
Hi, Emmy.
Hi, baby. Left it in there.
Oh, it's recording! Whoops! I meant to take a picture.
Martha
needs to show on
What's your body?
It was discovered through both vertical and horizontal.
Oh, great. That's not distracting at all. Are you recording me?
Stupid.
God, it's not that hard.
It's not enthusiastic.
Buy Dudley's brand football. Come on. Not buy Dudley's brand football.
Hot shot on your street.